Hey, what's up? This is episode 16 of the Throwaway Days podcast. I'm Cody Jones, and this time we have on my man Joey Smooth. Joey Smooth is a rapper originally from Charlestown, West Virginia. I met him while he was living in Pittsburgh, going to school, and just starting to get his feet wet with performing and recording and all that stuff. And he's currently in Cleveland because he's a little vagabond, but he's the man. He's in Surface Level Records with me, which is like a hip-hop crew, label, whatever, based out of Pittsburgh. But yeah, we had a cool interview. I talked to him about getting arrested. That's always fun. Bunch of random stuff that wasn't just like, tell me about this release, and what do you think about other things? I don't know. I try not to have my interviews be, or conversations, hardly even interviews, be too Q&A. And I don't know, I think this is a pretty easy one because I know Joe pretty well. Yeah, that's right, Joe, not Joey. I guess when he's in non-rapper form, he prefers Joe, which is, I guess people are like, yeah, I can't be Joey, I'm X amount of years old. But it's like, man, I'm Cody for life. I always add Y's to people's names because I'm like, if I can't be a grown-up, I'm going to bring the whole team down with me. But yeah, Joe Smooth. Sir Joseph, whatever. Had a cool conversation with him. He's an interesting dude. We just talked about a bunch of random stuff. So yeah, this is the interview with him coming up. I've been, in unrelated news to Joe, I've been listening to a bunch of podcasts, I always do, I guess. But new rap ones that are like on a similar level as mine, and sometimes these hosts will just be like the most boring sounding people ever, and how did you get started wearing pants? And it's like, wow, I don't want to have like an NPR voice, but I don't want to sound as boring as those dudes. So I hope I'm not, but I hope I'm also not too over the top and bubbly, which I don't really know is possible for me to do. But yeah, this is the interview with Joey. Subscribe on iTunes if that's your thing. I'm doing the SoundCloud a little bit. I just started putting my stuff on YouTube. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm just trying to make this more available. Yeah, listen to the interview. Let me know what you liked about it. Let me know what you didn't. And I'll probably ignore you either way, but I might improve something along the line. But I wouldn't hold your breath because, for instance, this episode, the mic levels are a little off. Joe's a lot louder than I am because I was leaning back trying to hide my beer, and he was leaning into the mic, which is what you're supposed to do. And but whatever, I don't know. I mixed it a little bit. I'm not great at that stuff, but I think it sounds okay. If you're an artist or whatever, send me your music. thethrowawaydays@gmail.com. I'm trying to do more playlist episodes just because I nerd out on that stuff. Or if you have like a label or some clothing company or whatever, and you think this would be a good platform for you to advertise, holler at me, because this takes time and energy, and it costs money to host on iTunes and SoundCloud, and I bought some gear and whatever else, and I'd love to be compensated for my time, for all the times that I don't go into my actual job so I can do this, which isn't on you. I'm just a bad employee, I guess, and I do that sort of thing because I can. But yeah, I don't know. If you think this would be a good platform for you, hit me up, because my companies, quote unquote companies, Internet Skateboards and whatever else, they're not paying the bills. Yeah, they're not paying the bills. I don't know if I can charge myself to advertise through one of my other companies. That seems like some sketchy legal loophole, but I can just charge you millions of dollars and sleep guilt-free every night. So holler at me. Life's a garden, dig it. Don't have no in your heart, can't have no in your heart, all that stuff. And here's the Joey Smooth interview. Alright, peace.
I almost got my car towed last night.
Really? Where?
In Cleveland, I had to pay $50 to have them
I
drop it.
saw that.
Yeah, it sucked. Wait, so we're just gonna dive into it? I don't have time to smoke a cigarette first? We should probably just dive into it, huh?
Yeah, you've been procrastinating for 6 months on this shit.
Well, now I'm not gonna smoke a cigarette because we can't smoke cigarettes in the house.
So you're not smoking a cigarette?
I don't have them, Ryan. I just went to the store to buy them.
Oh yeah. Well, we can take a break. This isn't live.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Joey Smooth.
Party people.
You're from Charleston, West Virginia.
And the place to be, Charleston, West Virginia. Stand up. Shouts to Dinosaur Burps.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was that like being into rap from Charleston?
I got into local hip-hop when I was in, like, middle school.
You were listening to rap in middle school? What did you listen to before that? Or is this, like, the first music you discovered on your own?
No. Before that, I started playing guitar when I was, like, really young, like 10 years old, and I had this guitar teacher who was, like, in high school. And he was like, Dave Mathews Band is like the coolest ever. He's like he's the sickest guitar player. And I was like, whoa, yeah, this stuff is cool. And like, I was really into like a bunch of corny rock music for a while. And then I like got into hip hop through like, I guess just like, I don't know, graffiti and shit.
All right. So, but then local hip hop, Dinosaur Burps. Like those dudes were like that prominent that like middle school kids in the area knew about them.
Yeah, so basically we had this like forum website in West Virginia called 304 Live, and like it was all the local rappers. They had like a rap like hip hop section, and then they had like a graffiti section, and people would like post photos. People would post their like mixtapes or like songs and like videos and stuff. And there was like this scene of like a ton of stuff happening in West Virginia, like all over the place. And some of my older friends were like, I think probably Mule was the first person I heard, and like 66240.
And Mule with Dinosaur. Well,
yeah.
Rabble Rousers back then.
Yeah, and like B-Rude, Mule and B-Rude were in the Rabble Rousers together. And like, yeah, my homie put me on to Mule, and like through him I found out about B-Rude and like a ton of other stuff.
Yeah.
I like all the projects they did together. Yeah. So believe it or not, there was a hip hop scene in West Virginia. There's not too much going on there now. I mean, Dinosaur Rips hold it down. Like, they bring in people from out of town. They're the homies. So yeah, Mule and B-Rude used to rap together, and then Mule passed away, and B-Rude kept doing the thing and became Dinosaur Burps, and Big Man, Crush Dog, Ben Call like producing all the beats and B-Rude rapping, and then DJ Squeezel, aka Buttery Biscuits, DJing.
Yeah, but you got out of there kind of when Dinosaur Burps was like kind of becoming a thing, right?
Yeah.
Before the AIP, this is something I want to talk about. You getting arrested, because I remember you telling me the story, and you were like in jail, and that's when you like decided. Like,
yeah. I can talk about that. Yeah. Yeah. So grew up in Charleston, West Virginia, and then I really wanted to go to. I wanted to go to school outside of West Virginia. All my friends were like, "Oh, we're gonna go to like WVU, like the in-state college," and I was like, "I don't want to do that. I want to go someplace else." And so I went to Pittsburgh, which seemed like the big city. Like, I was like, "Whoa, Pittsburgh's huge. Like, that's big city life. That's where I want to go." And I went to the Art Institute. Yeah, and that was around the time that the Dinosaur Burps first album came out. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, you got arrested while you were at AIP though?
Okay, yeah. So, and then at the Art Institute, I met Shaggy Rogers, and like we just like hit it off real well, and cause like through hip hop, cause like we were at a party, and like I think I put on like a Big L song or something, and he was like, "Whoa, like, yeah, that's tight," and we were like talking about hip hop, and then we like linked up, and we used to like freestyle together, and just like get all faded in the dorms, and like rap all night, and we like talked about like doing some music together, but like never did anything seriously. And then I'd been like dabbling and making beats on just like GarageBand and shit, because like I was interested in making beats, because like I was like had been playing guitar for a long time. I was like interested in making my own shit. And
so you weren't just doing Dave Mathews covers anymore?
No. Yeah, I moved on to composing Dave Mathews Band sounding songs. And then yeah, so we had been fucking around, and then I sold like I'd been selling weed for a while, and like
because you wanted to be a rapper?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I just like randomly got into selling weed while I was in high school, and was like tight to have money around. And then once I was in Pittsburgh, I was like, whoa, I can just like get better weed here and drive it back to West Virginia.
It was like a big deal though, because you were like crossing state lines with it, right? Like you were in Columbus too when it happened.
Yeah, basically, okay, so I was into selling weed, and I did some dumb shit and like went and got some weed someplace and tried to like drive it back to another place, and
Was
got
it like a setup that you got caught with, or was it just like dumb luck that you got pulled over or something?
no. Well, apparently, there's just like a lot of trafficking in Ohio, and that's where we were like leaving Ohio and going to another state, and I didn't know that there was like literally there's like signs on the interstate that are like drug traffickers go to jail, and like cops like waiting, like looking for suspicious cars.
Like out of state plates of like.
We just got like we just looked suspicious. I guess they like flagged us down, and then they pulled us over for like no reason, and just like searched the car, like you know how that goes. If you know, you know. But yeah, and then they like found the shit, and they're like, oh, where'd you get it? And we're like, well, yeah, not gonna do that. And they're like, all right, you're going to jail. And then yeah, so we were like, I was in jail for a couple days, and then I was like, damn, I don't know, for some reason when I was like
how was your jail experience?
Oh my god, what jail stories to tell. Damn, this is like so ridiculous. I don't even know if I should be telling this story. You know?
What,
God.
Everybody gets arrested, man. It's a part
Yeah.
of life.
Okay, true. Yeah, so we got in trouble, had to go to jail for a couple days, and then jail was pretty silly. I don't know. They like fucked up, and they put me and my homie in like the same part of the jail, so we got to like be
Were you in,
bunkmates.
Like, oh, you had beds, and you weren't just in like the holding tank, like.
No, we got put into like general like population, and I don't know. The first thing I did when I got in was I sat down and drew, just like started drawing. And then people came up to me and they're like, literally the first thing that somebody said to me was, "What are you in for?"
Really?
Yeah, it was like, so what are you in for? I don't know, or maybe they were like, "Oh, the drawing is sick," because I was just like, I don't know, I was just like doing cool letters, and people were like, "Whoa, he can draw," and then everyone like, everyone just fucked with me because I could draw, and it was like pretty chill. But funny story, somebody had like a bunch of ripped up playing cards, and me and my homie were like, oh, we should make a chessboard, because we like, it was we were just like bored as fuck. We were like, we need to do something to like take our mind off shit. But yeah, so we had a bunch of ripped up cards, and we turned them into chess pieces and like drew a chessboard, and we like started playing chess with all the other inmates, and people were like into it. It was funny. We felt like MacGyvers. But yeah, a lot of other silly stories. Don't really need to talk about them.
So how did, like, I remember you told me one time, like, when you were in there, you're like, you know what, like, fuck this, like, kind of, like, done wasting time, and that made you want to, like, actually make beats and shit?
Yeah, so before that, like, I'd done, like, my first semester in, like, college, and, like, me and Shaggy are, like, rapping all the time. We're, like, talking about kind of doing it seriously, and, like, I was selling the weed because I was like, I'm going to make, like 15 grand, and then I'm gonna like buy a bunch of recording shit and like really get serious about making music and like get all this equipment, or like buy a bunch of like screen printing shit and try to like get serious about making t-shirts. So that was like my plan. That was like why I was into like doing that. But then that happened, like while I was there, I was like, damn, I just lost all of my money. Like I had all my eggs in one basket, and like it all got seized by the police. And I was like, fuck, I barely have like this, like I had like a couple $100 like stashed in my room, and I like, it's like when I get out, I'm taking that money and I'm buying a sampler, and I'm gonna start making beats seriously, and I'm gonna keep, because I'd been writing raps just like for fun, and I was like, I'm gonna seriously like get a sampler, make beats, record them, put out a project. Like that's what I want to do.
Okay, and is that kind of how when the dads actually formed, like for real then?
Yeah, so what happened was I was like, I had some job at like this Thai food restaurant, and Shaggy one day was just like, yo, I got a show, I'm playing this show, it's called Cohesia, it's at the Pittsburgh Art House. And I was like, what is that? And like, what do you mean you're playing a show? You're not doing it by yourself. I'm playing the show too if you're gonna play a show. Like we're gonna do a show as the dads, which was like, I don't know, like dads was just like an inside joke with my friends from high school. We would like, I don't know, we'd be like out in public and we'd be like yelling for each other like, dad, it was like stupid, and that it just kind of like stuck, and we just thought it was goofy to be called the dads. So we did this show as the dads at the Pittsburgh Art House, and it was like this like showcase. It was like an all-day event. There was like all different types of music, and like artists and stuff too. And we had like rehearsed some stuff. I don't think I maybe had like one or two beats, and then like Shaggy had some random beats. I think it was like mostly just us rapping over random beats.
Yeah.
But I remember, with that we met Fortified Phonetics that night, and we might have met you that night too, but I don't know if you were there.
I know I met you at the art house, but I don't think.
I think it was the next time.
Just like kind of just showed up one night.
Cause he was like, oh yeah, this show, and we like looked up all the people on it. We'd never heard of any of them, and then like, I remember like watching a Fortified Phonetics video before we went, and then like, we were like, oh, we should check them out. And we like went up and like watched them perform, because it was like they were gonna perform, and then I think we went on like right after them. And they like, and they like, that was like my first time seeing like Momon Nadon perform, and like they just like,
they had a real DJ.
Yeah, they had like, they had a real DJ, and like, Connect and Nadon were like, they were like well rehearsed, like they were good performers, and we were like, damn, that was a lot cooler than we thought it was going to be. And then we went on, and I remember like, since we watched their whole set, like they were like watching like our whole set kind of thing, and like no one else was really in the room. I think like right when we went on, like a bunch of people like left the room, and we were probably like really awkward. And then I remember we were talking to them after the show, and they were like, yeah, you should try to like make sure you hold the microphone in front of your face when you rap, so you, like we can hear what you're saying. You know, like, I don't know. It wasn't like a terrible first show experience, but like, yeah, we definitely had no idea what we were doing.
That's pretty awesome.
And like weren't that well rehearsed, but I think we did like 6 songs or something.
Yeah.
And we went all out. We were like, man, we're the dads. We like wore these really goofy like Hawaiian shirts and shit, and like we thought we were pretty cool. It was sick.
But from there, you guys got on like as the dads and as solo artists on Surface Level Records, which is kind of like the label Fortified and Proceed started.
Yeah, so we met Fortified Phonetics, and then we like got up with them on like social media and all that. They were like really nice after the show and stuff, and we were like talking to them. We like had mutual interest in like
nice
just
guys.
good hip hop.
Has nothing to do with the fact that we're at Nadon's house right now.
Yeah, yeah, good. Nah, bunch of chotches.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we meet Fortified Phonetics, and then I was talking to like Connect a lot that night, and he was saying how he did all the recording at his house. And I was like, damn, man, like that's my problem, is I don't have a place to like record or like any equipment to record.
Yeah.
And he might have said something about maybe me being able to do that at his house that night. And they played at our house again. We like came to the show. That was where we met you.
Okay.
And so it was just like a random hip hop show at the Pittsburgh Art House, and 45 Next performed, and we met you. And I think we were all like ciphering together.
Yeah.
And
on the front porch.
and then like they I don't know, they were just down, and Dave was like, yeah, you can come over and record. And so I started doing that, and that's how the Joey Smooth EP.
Oh, that was all recorded at Connect's place?
Yeah, that's how the Joey Smooth EP happened.
Woke up to a cup of coffee and a cigarette. Faded memories of drinking Hennessy until I got belligerent. Sick of all these hypocrites who walk around like they're the shit. Trying to bring hip-hop back but don't know where to get originality. To worry about the salary. I'm casually taking casualties. I tally these technicalities I conquer and sit and ponder. Honored by the day one graffiti writing bombers.
And then once it was done, like the Surface Level Records like had become a thing, or like they were trying to like, they were like, oh, we should probably put some like more like people on Surface Level Records. Like, here's these 2 kids that are trying to like start doing music and playing shows, and they're like, yeah, why don't you guys want to be a part of this? And we were like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And so I did my we released my project, and then Shaggy did his solo album around the same time. We like put him out.
Yeah.
It was like summer of, I don't even know, 2013 or something. I don't know the dates. So that was how the first Joey Smooth project happened.
Okay.
And it was all my beats. I'd been.
Were there any features on that?
Yeah. There's only one feature, and it was with Shaggy.
Okay.
But yeah, it was like 6 or 7 songs. I made all the beats. I'd had the verses written for like a while, because I was even writing verses when I was like senior year in high school. I can remember like I'd kind of started like writing raps just for like fun and shit.
In high school, like, were your friends and stuff writing raps too, or you just kind of had to do all that stuff on your own?
No. I didn't really actually, my one homie, my one good homie who put me on to like West Virginia hip hop, we had been like messing around with like writing raps, and we like had this idea. We were like, man, we should just like record a bunch of songs over like DJ Premier beats and put it out. Like, people would lose their shit. Like, no one does that, man. Like, but it turns out everyone does that. So
Yeah. That's pretty good.
yeah.
So like now that you're on SLR, the Joey Smooth EP is out, and I feel like not too long after that. So you were playing a bunch of shows. Like, was your first solo show the GDP show?
No.
Okay.
I think my first show ever. Okay? So I met you.
The All Eyes Manifest show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the same night that the Radium Girls played?
Yep, I think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or it was like my other friend's band, who I forget their name.
The Joyful Drags.
Yeah. They played that show. And I think
Radium Girls played with GDP.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I met you that night at the Pittsburgh Art House, and then we like kept in touch, and you just randomly were like, hey, do you want to play a show? And I was like, hell yeah. And I think I did it solo plus like a couple songs with Shaggy.
I know you're billed solo. I don't remember like your set, obviously.
Oh yeah, maybe it was just me. So yeah, that was like my first show. And then I think my first couple shows were definitely at Garfield Artworks.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Shouts to Manny Thiner,
Manny Diner.
Pittsburgh legend.
Yeah, for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that was a really cool space, but it unfortunately is no longer with us.
Yeah. But I feel like that All Eyes Manifest show was pretty cool, and then the GDP one, which was like pretty early on for you, I felt like that was like a cool show to be on.
Yeah, Cody. Yeah, I got to play some GDP show. I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. I was like a huge fan of his stuff. Who I found out through like West Virginia rappers, cause somehow like Mule and B-Rude like
MySpace.
Yeah, through MySpace they met like all the Slang Corp New Jersey dudes like Ray Strife and TMFSE and GDP and Shape and those dudes, and someone put me onto their music and I was like, whoa. So that was like when I got to open for GDP, I thought that was like the biggest deal ever.
Yeah.
And the Radium Girls played too. It was like they were a pretty sick band from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that was a cool, like a notable punk band from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
On a random rap show.
Yeah, that's what I loved was I feel like my first couple shows were like mixed bill shows.
Yeah.
Which I wish I was doing more of now, but yeah, like I think you were setting them up like you'd get a couple hip hop acts and like a couple like punk bands or like your friends' random projects or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like hip hop and other types of music together. I think mixed bill shows are definitely the way to go. There's always like a good crossover between like punk crowds and hip hop crowds.
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like, and then after all that, it wasn't too long before you went on tour with Fortified Phonetics, the survivors of the Polar Vortex tour.
Yeah. So then, yeah. So then, huh?
The quote unquote Polar Vortex.
Yeah. So
Pretty cool. It's not a lot.
starting to play shows with like Sober Identity and like Fortified Phonetics was helping me and Shaggy out and like getting us shows. And then I went on tour with Fortified Phonetics solo. It was just me and Fortified Phonetics. We did like 4 or 5 dates on the East Coast.
Like freshly off like parole or whatever, right? Or like you were on something from whenever you got in trouble.
Oh yeah, no. So that's a really silly story. That So that was a really fun tour. It was like my first time playing shows out of state, and it was like it was all like new and cool and fun.
Yeah.
And then
Weren't you
I was still on probation, so like I after like all that shit that I got in trouble for, I was like on probation for like 2 years, and it was like wrapping up right around the time I was on tour. I mean it had been like long dealt with, but like I still needed to like get the okay from the old PO. And then we're in New York City. We had a day off. We were supposed to, oh man, that's 2 crazy stories. We were supposed to play a show in New York City on April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
And we showed up and it was like double booked, and we literally thought they were joking with us, like April Fools, and they weren't. They were serious. But we like talked to other people who like had gotten there before us, who were like setting up, which is like what it came down to. And we were like, man, we came all the way out here from Pittsburgh. Like, could we rock? Like, please. And they're like, yeah, we'll let you do like a song or two. So we ended up actually getting to perform, and it was like a packed basement. It's like pretty silly, but yeah, we just did like a little song or two, and we were done. But then anyways, later, and then we were like kind of bummed about that, and we like got super drunk at some bar across the street, and like we were walking back because we were staying at like 45 Phonetics' friend's, like childhood friend's house who was living in New York City, and like Astoria, and we were like walking to go take the subway back, and I'm still on probation this time, and we're all faded, and then we're like walking to the subway station, and then we like went to go take the subway, and me and Momon Nadon had insufficient funds, and I don't know whose idea it was. We were like, oh, we can just hop the turnstile. So we like, everyone else went through, and me and Nadon like hopped the turnstile, and then like we're starting to walk away, and then just like immediately some dude's like, oh, yep, come with me, like whatever, like transit police or whatever, and we like went into the room.
I feel like it's tough to hop a turnstile in like 2000 whatever.
Yeah, it was like the middle of the night. It was like 3 a.m. or something. Or no, I don't even think they'd run that late. I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty silly, and but no one was around. Like we were like looked both ways. Like we're the only people in the station. We're like hop over, and then we like we're like walking away. Like fucking hopping the turnstile, and then immediately someone's just like, yeah, and now you pay a fine. Here's your ticket. It's a funny story. But then I was freaking out. I was like, oh, shit, because I was supposed to, like, that whole time I was on probation, I had a 10 a.m. curfew, or 10 p.m. curfew. I was never even supposed to be out the house past, like, 10 p.m. And I was like, wow, I, like, violated all these things, and, like, maybe I could, like, get in trouble because they, like, ran my name to, like, see if we had warrants and shit. And but
the thing probably, like, had expired since it was, like, after midnight or something.
Yeah, true. And then,
got lucky.
Yeah, the next day I got an email from my PO that was like, you're no longer on probation. And I was like, whoa, sick.
Yeah, that's tight.
I feel like I totally botched that story. That's a good story, though.
So then you're back in Pittsburgh playing shows again, and I feel like it may have been a decent bit before the Dads Because I Said So album came out. Did that album release on the SLR show? Like, was that the first show?
Yeah. So then
the SLR show, for anyone listening, was like Noetic kind of had the idea to throw us like an SLR, Surface Level Records, like showcase. And then I think you guys headlined it, but it was all the dudes on the roster, and it was like a release of your album where you guys wore your funny Hawaiian shirts again. That you're just hammered too. I don't remember because I was hammered, but I think you're pretty hammered.
Yeah, that was definitely the drunkest I've ever been performing. But we had the Dads. We had started to play more shows together. I think we had done like. No. We had been playing a lot of shows as the Dads, like. For a while. The album took a really long time to get finished.
Smooth talk, loop and repeat that I rock. Dads keep it dirty like a room full of cops. Who spots with a team like shoes and socks. Awesome socks, drop food for thoughts, crossover. Spot job, black posers, not too lost when I'm sober, but I'm over it. Steady coach till we cope with sin, this low brim when I'm scoping a fence, transcend through the emotions again. Remotely offensive, pretend that I've been for myself. When the hip hop turns show and tell, what is success when you grow no wealth? Bless with good health, think it's done with what I'm dealt. Keep records in a crate and a food up on a shelf. Get a few albums under my belt, music the remedy like tomato soup and a grilled cheese smell. Never felt before. Bring the house down from the roof to the floor. Loose cannon, I sink ships galore. Drop hits, get a fix, make you itch for more.
And then it came out, at the Surface Level Records show, which was like super rowdy, good time.
Yeah.
And we like it was like we bought a ton of beers and like pizza and like there was like free beer for everyone. And I got super turned that night because it felt like I don't know, it was sick. Like Blade Bloomer came down from Jersey, and we had like the whole roster there, and like a ton of people came out, and we were like, I wanted to do something special. I was like, what could we do? We gotta like be excessive. Let's wear like goofy bathrobes.
Yeah.
and like the only bathrobe options at Target were like leopard print or Harry Potter. So of course we did leopard print. And I wore like socks and Crocs and a Hawaiian shirt. We like wore goofy outfits. It was a good time.
Yeah. You guys didn't get to do much to promote that album though, just cause like, not officially, but like, you guys just didn't disband, but you focused on like other projects. Like we did the Because I Said Slow tour, which was like, I was promoting Slow and Steady, and you guys were promoting Because I Said So, and we did like 4 dates out. But other than that, you didn't like do too much. I was like focused on like moving all the units that you got.
Yeah, it took so long to get the album out, and we had already been doing those songs live for like such a long time that I feel like we were both like so over it by the time it was done and out, and probably that's like my fault. I feel like I took over a lot of like creative control and was just trying to like do all these things and like being a perfectionist. Yeah. And I was doing it was also my first time doing all like the mixing and like getting help with the mastering, and I was just like in like the album artwork and like yeah. So then by the time I was like done, it was like out. I was like not ready to spend another like
year playing off of it.
Yeah, or just like I don't even like put in a bunch of time like to send it to blogs and stuff. I didn't do like any of that.
Yeah.
Or sadly, I didn't even friggin' send it into this Pittsburgh City paper to get a review. Like totally botched it on all promotion. But I mean, like I don't know. Like I'm almost. Well, I guess it's been like a little over a year. All the CDs are pretty much gone.
It's only been a year? I think it's been longer than that. I don't know.
I don't remember. I feel like...
When was the release show?
Oh, it was October. Yeah, so a year and some change old.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. So I feel like not too long after that, though, you were working at some, like, design tech thing. I don't know what your job... You're doing some, like, design work, right?
Yeah.
And then your company downsized, and you like they were still freelancing you work, but you didn't have to show up. And eventually, all right, here's how I remember it. We did Because I Said Slow tour, came back, like rapped in Pittsburgh for a while still, and then we had those like you were kind of thinking about moving to Cleveland because your job had like laid you off, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
And then your lease was coming to an end. And then we did like a show in Kent, Ohio, and a show in Huntington, West Virginia. And then like after the Kent, Ohio show, we went to Cleveland and partied with like everyone. You're like, yep, that's it. I'm moving to Cleveland now.
Yeah.
And then you moved to Cleveland.
So yeah, I do like a lot graphic design. I like went to school for graphic design, and then I was working at like a marketing agency for like a year in Pittsburgh right out of school, and so the company like went through a bunch of stuff, and they kind of just had to like lay everyone off. Yeah. But I was like, I don't know, I was kind of like over it anyways, like
yeah, work is whack, man. Tell me. I hate it.
Yeah, you know, they tried to lay me off, but I was like over it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what's the point of anything? I don't know. Anyways.
You moved to Cleveland, and you're like, which I felt like everyone in Pittsburgh, like Cleveland's like the butt of every joke in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
no.
Cleveland's kind of cool.
Yeah, Cleveland is sick. Okay, so I moved to Cleveland. I like didn't have a job anymore in Pittsburgh, and it was like I didn't want to like stay in Pittsburgh forever. I'd been living there for like 5 years, and nothing was really like holding me down in Pittsburgh. There was nothing I was really like tied to, and I just kind of felt like getting out. And I had some homies I met through going to school in Pittsburgh who were from Cleveland, and I'd start. People would come visit from Cleveland. I would like meet all these people, and then I would take trips to Cleveland. So I was like building this network, and then my homies came and visited me like this summer, and they knew I was kind of like bummed on Pittsburgh, and my lease was coming to an end. And then they're like, oh, we have this homie in Cleveland with like a sick loft warehouse living space, and it's like really cheap, and you won't be on a lease, and you should do that, and we can hang out all the time. You can have like parties and stuff. It'll be sick. And I was like, that sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, sign me up.
And then I visited Cleveland and saw the space and met everyone, and everyone was cool. And it's like, well, I could do this. And then Yeah, we did a little run of shows, and we played a show in Kent. Yeah, and it was, I think, Horrible Fest was going on. It was like this big punk fest at this really cool bar in Cleveland called Now That's Class that you should check out.
I've been there. Thanks.
It's a sight for sore eyes.
Oh, you weren't talking directly
to me. And yeah, I was just like, whoa, let's drive to Cleveland because Kent was like right next to it, and we had a good time. And I think that was kind of it. I was like, yeah. I was like, all these people are cool.
So it wasn't too long that after you were in Cleveland that you like took a train out to the West Coast and you knew someone who knew someone and somehow ended up trimming trees and just kicking it out in like Portland for a while?
Yeah, so I've just been chilling in Cleveland. I don't really have a job right now. I mean, I've been making a ton of beats and like working on this.
That's not a job.
Working on this solo album. I'm just talking about what I've been doing with my time. And like I've been just doing freelance graphic design to like get by. Like Cleveland is so cheap that like my rent is basically nothing, and so I've just been able to like support myself without getting another full-time job in this like little pocket of time where I'm at in life right now. So I've just been chilling doing that and like working on art and music and stuff and trying to take vacations. So yeah, it was summer and my buddy was like wanting to go out to like Portland because he was gonna go trim weed out there, and he was like, oh, you should come with. And I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty sick. So we rode a train out to Portland, and then we like split up. I had some homies in Portland from Cleveland, and I was like planning on meeting up with them, and like randomly met some other people, and like me and the people I rode out there with, we like split ways. They went to like go trim in Southern California, and I stuck around in Portland. So yeah, rode a train out to Oregon with my homies. We split ways in Portland. I stayed with some friends for a little bit, and like all my friends at the time were trimming on weed farms, and I was like, whoa.
Is it all indoor?
No, they're all outdoor greenhouses.
Oh, awesome.
So all my homies were trimming. Like no one had time to hang out because everyone was like working because it was like harvest season, and I just had no idea. And I was like, oh, could I like come to work with you guys? And they're like, yeah. So I went out to this farm. It was like pretty close to Portland. And I was like camping out there. Like at first I was like sleeping in a tent, and then I got to like the owner of the farm had this like Greyhound that he converted into a sick like camper tour bus.
Yeah, that's tight.
And I got to move in there, which was sick because it straight rained like for like 2 weeks straight, and like there was like mold growing in the tent that I was staying in, and it was just like everything was soaked.
Yeah,
it was like miserable. I got sick. There was like an outdoor kitchen with just like everything was plugged into like extension cords, and it was like
yeah, that sounds terrible.
The water would like it was everything in there would get soaked, and like I don't know how there wasn't like a freaking electrical fire or some shit. It was ridiculous, but it was cool. There was like communal food, and it was like they grew like organic produce. So they had all these chickens, and there was like fresh eggs every morning, and they took care of us. And yeah, it was a good time. I learned a ton of stuff. It's like I feel like when you grow up on the East Coast and you're not sort of around like all that weed culture that's happening on the West Coast, like the idea of going somewhere to work on a weed farm is pretty absurd. But like from what I learned, all the kids out there, like they're working on weed farms, or all the like-minded kids are like working on weed farms, and before they're about to like go do a service industry job or work some bullshit job, they'd like rather make quick, easy money on the farms.
Yeah, it's like seasonal work too. It's not tying them down for all year, right?
Yeah, well, depending on where you're at, but in Oregon, yeah, it's seasonal.
Okay.
And it's like all legal now out there. So it was cool. I learned a lot about weed culture, which is, I think, pretty cool because it's like pretty young people who are like putting all the time and money and effort into like starting these farms and businesses, while like the older heads are like, no, we can't legalize marijuana, and soon it'll all fall, and it's going to be like kids in their mid-20s like raking in millions of dollars who like had the idea before all the old rich conservatives were okay with it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's cool to see that. I don't know, I feel like being like a graphic designer too, it's like there, you know, all these businesses opening, like dispensaries, farms, and like they all need a logo. They all need
sick weed leaves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah, they all need like logos, websites, like all that shit, and it's like at a time where weed's getting away from being like tie-dye hippie to like
a real thing,
contemporary.
Like cool.
Yeah, to like hip young parents who shop at Whole Foods, you know. You know, they gotta appeal to yeah. They gotta appeal to a broader audience.
Yeah.
Here I sound like the biggest weed advocate. I don't even really hardly smoke weed, TBH.
Yeah.
For real.
All right, so you're out there for a while, and you eventually come back to Cleveland, and you kind of like stacked up some money, and I thought this was kind of when you were like working on your album, but I guess you're working on it before too.
Yeah.
Like, you've been like putting in some work on that. I don't know. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I feel like my output sounds really weak. Here we've talked about 2 projects. Yeah, I've been working on a solo project for a while.
Then I learned to paddle first faster. Caught up in a stream of thought that I could capture. A backpacker in a previous chapter. This is my disaster. Take it on back to the pasture. Kill the noise and put away the dagger cheek. Speaking on the things of life that previously mattered to me. All in all, steady charging up the batteries. Had to chase a salary. Don't repeat the pattern, please.
I haven't really been playing shows in Cleveland. Just been spending my time like working on art, painting a lot, and making a lot of beats.
Hand painted signs. Did you ever do that?
No, never got into that. Yeah, just making a lot of beats and doing a lot of painting. And
is most of your stuff still sample based? Are you still digging through records a lot, or like I know you sent me, or you like remixed that one beat for me that was not sample based? Like you and what's his name? Because your one friend plays like piano and all synth and shit.
Yeah, still, my production's mostly like sample based. But more recently I've been doing more playing the samples. Like I got this little synthesizer, so I've been like having fun like building my own sounds with that and playing like little bass lines or like pads or like little leads and stuff. And then yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'm trying to get away from sampling or just like combining sampling with like also synthesizers and stuff. But the birth of all this, when I first started making beats, it was all sample based. And at first I was just doing like YouTube digging or like sampling like whatever. And then through hanging out with 4-5 Phonetics and like Moma Nadon, who's like really into getting records and like going to the record stores, I would just go to like the record store with Nadon. He would be like, "Oh, get this. This has drums on it. This is a cool record." I like realized that was kind of the way to go, and you could just buy sort of anything and probably find something cool to sample on it, and then got all into that. And then when I got to meet the Late Bloomer up in New Jersey while we were on that Survivors of the Polar Vortex tour, I remember he has like the most insane record collection I've ever seen, and he like played this one record that like Dan the Automator sampled on the Deltron 3030 album. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, that was like the sickest album ever. I was like, how can I listen to like that again? And then I like found it on YouTube, but like I don't know, it was just like, damn, this doesn't even sound like what it sounded like when I was chilling in his basement, like sitting around smoking weed, listening to like records. Like it was like insane. I was like, whoa, I need to get this record, but I still don't have that record. I'll probably never have that record. It's a hard one to find. But yeah, that was like the turning point. I was like, oh yeah, like I need to fucking get into records, like buy a lot of records. So yeah, and then I started doing a lot of my own, like buying records, going to the record store. Like when I was working in Pittsburgh, I was like right across the river from Millville, and I used to go after work every day. I'd get out at 5, and I'd go over to the attic, and they closed at 6. I would like try to get out of work a little early, and like every day, and I just went through like the entire store pretty much.
We did.
And learned a lot.
Maybe this will be out by the time it drops. A rhythm roulette there where you just pick 3 random records.
Yeah, I did a rhythm roulette. Shouts to the Attic Records, a rhythm roulette video. That'll be coming out sometime soon.
About, you can just pick anything, and that's like exactly what you did.
Yeah.
But you're steering, like not steering away, but you're combining that with things you actually play now.
Yeah, I'm trying to get away from sampling. Just trying to make less sort of boom bap sounding beats, which is kind of what I've been doing in the past, and just get a little more weird with it.
Yeah, awesome. Get weird, man. Let your freak flag fly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing to be ashamed about.
No.
So that's tight. That's cool that you're doing that, and you're also like starting to help out at this screen printing place in Cleveland, which is cool too, because I feel like that's like full circle for you for like the things you kind of wanted to do like, before college and like what you were, you know.
Yeah, that was one of the kind of cool things about being a part of Surface Level Records, and one thing that I felt like I could really contribute, because I thought like a lot of I was just down with everyone who was like a part of it, and I wanted to contribute, and I was like, oh, I can kind of be like a creative director. This is like a thing that we're like all starting together, and I can like make the website, I can like help do homies' album artwork, I can do like their album layouts, like I can make everything and try to look like as professional as I can at like being a graphic designer. So that was, I always thought that was cool, and I took a lot of like liberty upon me to like try to make everything look really professional. And then like merch, like, so I kind of was self-taught doing like DIY screen printing, and going up to Air, which is this really cool studio that has like an open studio in Pittsburgh, where a lot of bands and people will do screen printing, make a ton of merch. So yeah, like helping homies out, like I think the first thing I did there, I think, was like the run of Galactic Brethren shirts.
Yeah, I was there that night. It was the only time I was ever there.
Yeah.
And then you did the Not So Smooth shirts that night as well?
Yeah, and then
did some shirts for the dads?
Yeah. And then we just like, we did a lot of runs out of Air.
Print in my basement too? Or I know you designed a shirt I did with Cornelius III, but I don't know if we printed together.
Yeah, I did help. I think I helped you that one time. We did for the tour that you did with Cornelius III, when I spelled his name wrong.
Yeah, I think I spelled it wrong, and then you probably just looked at my notes.
Yeah.
I can't read.
Spelled it wrong, and it made it all the way onto the t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so...
But you've been in Cleveland, you're screen printing now.
Yeah. After I moved to Cleveland, I didn't have the studio anymore that I'd been going to in Pittsburgh to do all this shit at, and I found out about this place in Cleveland called Zygote, which was basically like the Cleveland version of Air, and found out they had like an internship program, and since I don't really have a full-time job or anything, I was like, well, this sounds like something cool I'd be into. I can learn some printmaking stuff, learn more about screen printing, and I applied, and they got back to me. I think just my graphic design made me have an in there, because I definitely am like the least experienced person there. I'm like nervous to even... Yeah. Everyone else has been like doing whatever, like there's all sorts of different types of printmaking there, but they've been doing it for a while, and it's kind of like just learning how they do things, as opposed to what I'm used to from using the same studio for so long. But so just focusing, learning a lot more about printmaking, trying to do more runs of shirts and posters, and be able to help other homies out do their runs of shirts and posters and things. So I think it's a cool thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's tight. You're doing that now. You're working on the new album. I don't know. It's just like cool to me that like these are like things you like initially wanted to do, and like this, you were like selling weed to save up for these things. You know? Like that's cool. Well, that's not cool, but it's cool that it worked out in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. You got any like last words? What to expect from Joey Smooth in the future, or any long-term plans for Cleveland? You put any roots down there, or are you gonna just keep, rolling stone? Answer your phone. What's up? But are you gonna be in Cleveland? Or are you gonna be? Yeah.
I don't know how much longer I'm staying in Cleveland. I mean, it's fun right now. I'm having a good time. And rent is, I don't know. It's just really cheap. So.
Is the weather similar to Pittsburgh? Is it worse, warmer?
It's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Except when it snows, I guess it snows a little harder. But yeah, it's like the same weather. But yeah, I'm holding down in Cleveland right now. I don't have any plans to move anywhere time soon. I've been thinking about trying to move to Portland because I met a bunch of really cool people while I was out there for like almost 2 months, and kind of like to maybe try living on the West Coast for a little bit.
Yeah.
But holler if you're trying to book a show in Cleveland. I have been
one show there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I booked a show there. I had a homie Nova come from Columbus, and homie Nadon come up from Pittsburgh, and then got this one local group on, and that was a good time. We had a really good turnout. There's not like a lot of hip hop stuff happening in Cleveland.
Yeah.
There are some like older heads that are like pretty sick, but yeah, not too much new cool stuff happening. A lot of like trap and stuff. But I'm trying to keep booking shows there, so holler if you're trying to come through. And then I got this solo album coming out that's like almost done, and I think I'm gonna do a little something different for the release.
Like some kind of like not one-off, but like a short run of like cool packaging and shit.
Yeah. I'm gonna
especially take advantage of like screen printing and like all your whatever.
Yeah.
All your whatever.
I'm gonna do some like screen printed like DIY album sleeves and CD jackets, and probably like a poster to come with it, and kind of do like a small run at first, maybe like 20 CDs with like that come with like also like a poster and stuff, and hold off from like putting online. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thought that might be kind of cool. Hopefully do a tour this spring or summer with whenever the album's ready to come out.
Yeah.
Keep doing printmaking, keep painting, and keep making beats. Try to get weirder on the beat making.
Hell yeah.
That's about it.
How about, so we don't end it on such a serious note, what's the story where you almost lost that city bike? Like, I feel like it's been like a good interview, but it's been like mad serious.
Has it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty serious, but I just want to hear the story again.
Yeah, that's a pretty ridiculous story. So,
Being a city bike.
I guess that was 2 summers ago. They had just put these city bikes into Pittsburgh. You know, it's such a big hip city nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
We got city bikes and all that. And I think my sister visited town. We signed up so we could bike around. 'Cause I had a bike, but she didn't. And anyways, 4th of July, I was hanging out with Nadon, and it was a random night. We were like day drinking at like a cool little river spot, and then we like went to some bars. We were like downtown, met up with his sister. Like she was staying in some fancy ass hotel, and we like were drinking a bunch of vodka, and then it was pretty late, like past 2 a.m. And then we were like, everyone was like trying to go to hot mass, so we go to this after hours bar. That's always an interesting time. Just a lot of always a weird time. Usually the only time I'm there, I'm like very, very intoxicated.
Yeah.
And probably didn't need to really go there. I was so drunk. Whoa, as I get past another beer. Yeah, so we're there, and they're like playing like house music. It was like a good time, and I blacked out, and did the notorious Joey Smooth move that I call the Houdini, where I just get blacked out drunk and leave and don't tell any of my friends that I'm leaving. Yeah. So I was gonna try to walk home, I guess, and next thing I know, I woke up the next morning and I was like, whoa, that was ridiculous. And I like looked through my phone, read the context clues. I'd been like calling Ryan or Mama Nadon and called him up and I was like, yo, what the hell happened last night? And he was like, oh, you called me and you said that you were walking or like about to be going over like the Bloomfield Bridge. And, like, no, you said you were like by the pole bowl, like Polish Hill Skate Park, and asked if I could pick you up. And I like was like, yeah, and I came out there to pick you up and you weren't there, and I called you again and you said you were like walking over the Bloomfield Bridge, you're about to be home and not to worry about it. And I was like, oh, all right, Lord, well, that's not so bad. I just walked home and I don't have my glasses. My glasses are gone and I'm like, what the fuck, like where did my glasses go? And like my clothes were like covered in dirt. And I'm like, what is going on? So that's Sunday, I think. And then Monday, I'm waking up to go to work. I wake up to this text message, and it's from the City Bike company. And they're like, oh, this is like just a text to remind you that you still have bike number, blah, 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 checked out. And I'm like, all of a sudden it hits me. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I do remember riding a bike. You know, like when you black out and then someone tells you something you did and then you remember it? It was like, whoa, I remember like being on a bike and being like just falling over like everywhere, like not like in the state of mind to be riding a bicycle. And then I was like, holy shit, where is the bike? Because I didn't have it. And like, I immediately got out of bed, like threw my clothes on and tried to use what time I had before I had to be at work to like find the bike and retrace. Like, just went like drove the entire way like I would have walked home, and like didn't see it. And I'm at work and I'm like thinking, what am I gonna do if I don't find this bike? And I'm like,
because they were gonna like charge you like crazy money for it, right?
Yeah, I like read the terms and agreements, and it was like, if you lose a bike, you like we can file a police report, and like also you're like not supposed to be intoxicated by any means when you're like riding these bikes, and if you don't find like if you lose the bike, then you're gonna have to pay like $1,700 to like replace it or something like that. I think they have like I don't know, like some tech, I don't know, they have like little computers in them. Well, technology in them, I don't know, but so I was like, holy shit, I gotta find this bike. And then on my lunch break, I was like, man, why was I dirty? Like I remember like falling through like some, like around on the ground, like through some bushes or something. And I go back to like the Polish Hill Skate Park, which is where I told Mo Monedon I was at, and I'm not seeing anything. And then I'm like walking up and down the sidewalk, like up the hill to the park, and I see like just this little kind of opening, and it's like here, like the road's going up the hill, and like the whole left side is just like hillside, like woods. And I see this little opening, and I like peek over, and sure enough, I can like see the bike.
You just like tumbled all these weeds down.
Yeah, it's like I think I was trying to ride up the hill on the sidewalk and lost balance and just like just fell into the hillside, and then sure enough I found my glasses too, and I was like, no freaking way. So I throw the bike in the back of my car, and I'd been freaking out, so I called the bike people and I was like, hey, yeah, it says that I still have this bike checked out, but like I never checked it out. Like I thought I wanted to get the bike out, so I like took it out for a second, but then I just put it right back in, and like I guess when I put it back in the slot, like it didn't click all the way in or like whatever. And they're like, oh, all right, well, yeah, we'll just mark you down as the bike is still there and like you're good, you don't owe anything. And I was like, oh, all right, sick. Because I was also bummed I was going to have to pay for, like, all 23 hours of having the bike out. And they're like, oh, okay, if you didn't check it out and it's still there, then, like, cool, we'll just clear you off. And then after I found the bike, I took it back to where I said it was and never heard back from them. And then I had the worst poison ivy I've ever had in my entire life because I was, like, just digging around in the brush, like, to find my glasses. And yeah, I had like the worst poison ivy I've ever had all over my arms for like the next probably month or whatever.
Awesome. Sounds worth it. All right, man. Let's wrap it up there. That was tight. Glad we ended this on a high note.
Yeah. feeling really good about this one.
Check. Think I found a niche, talking about some random ish. Some of y'all might get it, other ones should probably plan to split. I plan to spit, give a fuck which in the candles lit. I'll sleep when I'm dead and I'll ramble about some random shit. Yeah. I'm a class act like Jack Black, kicking hardy hards, crack a bottleneck, slide on cigar box guitars, party hard, freestyle jargon, 5 hours straight, summon gods of bargain bins when I'm hunting through the crates, so my back aches, box you out my box, it's a rap race, total dad case, fix the party up a snack plate, then push mad weight, a tad bit late, watch the levee break, left me with probation and some sweaty shakes, tag the jailhouse, thank moms for the bailout, put my life together 2 years later, leave them scales out. A 90s baby raised on corn syrup and Lunchables. Blame my generation, ADHD, we ain't functional. Never been punctual, for that I'll blame my family. Wildin' out curbside to folk punk jamborees. Insanity stuck in the same place for too long. I'm waking up in random hotel rooms with just one shoe on. Got camel coupons and black goop from railroad ties. Glorified scumbags getting by as a prize. These rappers think they so wise, go fucking write a book. Over intellectualize, your shit ain't off the hook. I'm sick of hearing advice, so I ain't giving it. Safe to say that statement just might make myself a hypocrite. Think I found a niche, talking about some random ish. Some of y'all might get it, other ones should probably plan to split. I plan to spit, give a fuck which in the candles lit. I'll sleep when I'm dead and I'll ramble about some random shit. Think I found a niche, talking about some random ish. Some of y'all might get it, other ones should probably plan to split. I plan to spit, give a fuck which in the candles lit. I'll sleep when I'm dead and I'll ramble about some random shit. Picture this, Joey Smooth up on a picture disc. I'm steady pitching albums to friends who pretend they give a shit. Yo, what's the status? Should probably bury the hatchet. Cats would rather cop a cup of coffee than my latest rap bit. It's mad hadderish, I do this for my own stress. Lots to learn from nomads who roam and stay homeless. Get sick of sitting around rotating all the same wax. I find solace in anything found walking along the train tracks. Dubious Maximus, this joint got me like, damn son. Let's walk around the town with scissors snipping off some man buns. It's pretty damn fun not taking shit too serious while taking full advantage of these times that I will dearly miss. Sincerely wish to keep it weirder than weird gets, and just the fact that I can make art leaves me in sheer bliss. Too sentimental in the most masculine genre while I'm posted at the crib, steady slow burning chomper. Just got laid off, lounging around in suede pants, calling up my mom's asking tips for my J plan. Plot the next move like drops in a test tube, chop the next groove. Stop trying to be the best viewed. I come correct, leave the rest for y'all to pick and choose. Put it more directly on the record, ain't got shit to prove. Boy.